Today, a banana tree is actually an herb and bananas are technically berries. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint, where this week we return to our roots.
Oh, Jesus, does that mean you're going to start wearing a button-up with no tie again?
No. I just think that CheckPoint is better when we get to the point.
Ah.
And this week, we're going to keep things snappy. I'm up first. Let's go, Paul. Oh, God. Okay. Hey, this is a weird one, and we don't know how it's going to all shake out, but let me tell you what we do know. Development studio Frogwares made a game called The Sinking City, which is, by all accounts, fine. It got in the 60s to 70s on Metacritic across its various platforms, and the various platforms is the issue at the crux of this story, because the game has been released on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. I mean, kind of. It did get released on PC. You can find it on Origin and Game Planet, and it was just released on Steam until Frogwares submitted a DMCA takedown request on its own game, resulting in the current status where The Sinking City is no longer available on Steam. So let's rewind a couple years. According to Frogwares, they signed a licensing and distribution agreement with a company called Nacon to do the business end of getting the game onto various platforms, specifically PS4, Xbox One, Steam, and Epic. It involved not only money up front, but as the developers and owners of the intellectual property, Frogwares would get cuts of the profits. According to Frogwares, Nacon was behind on paying them, and then, once the game had been released, said the game hadn't been delivered on time and Frogwares wouldn't be seeing some of their profits. Nacon even removed the Frogwares logo from the box art and somehow created a Sinking City pen and paper RPG without telling Frogwares. And their logo is on that cover, but they aren't mentioned in the copyright. So, Frogwares attempted to terminate the contract, as they felt they were allowed to do since Nacon wasn't holding up their end of it. But Nacon is based in France and stopped the termination because of French COVID-19 emergency laws designed to protect businesses. That wasn't enough in the long run, and eventually they went to court, where it was ruled that Frogwares' termination of the contract was in fact unlawful. And even though that litigation is still ongoing, a judge told Frogwares, and I'm paraphrasing, to refrain from any action that impedes the continuation of this contract. So that's why the game was pulled from Steam in August. Since then, Nacon has apparently tried twice to get the courts to force Frogwares to release a Steam version of the game, but legal shenanigans are still ongoing and the courts have refused. So it was a big surprise to Frogwares when the game popped up on Steam last week, alongside a tweet from Frogwares saying they did not create that version and they do not recommend you buy it. Because what Nacon allegedly did was download a retail copy of the game from Game Planet, the storefront Frogwares makes the game available through, decompile it, remove some logos and watermarks, Frogwares alleges to cover their tracks, and release that on Steam. Nacon believes they're legally in the clear to do this because they're currently the only ones allowed to sell the game on Steam, and Frogwares won't let them. But the version that they hacked and uploaded includes DLC content that was not part of the original agreement, which is why Frogwares was able to levy a DMCA takedown request. That's where things sit at time of recording, and it'll probably be a while before this gets resolved, but to blatantly editorialize, while both parties seem to have acted badly, I'd say Nacon looks way more scummy here, so finally, a good use of a DMCA takedown. Thanks, Metallica!
If you've played Grand Theft Auto Online, you've probably wondered why it takes so long to get through a loading screen. Well, an enterprising hacker named Toast finally had enough of loading times of over 6 minutes and started digging. After a quick hardware profile, some stack walking, a spate of code disassembly, and some bespoke code injection, Toast has written a DLL that... Okay, there's no way I capture all this in a succinct way, so I'm just going to say some stuff and leave this as an exercise to the listener, okay? The string length function, a 10 meg JSON file with 63,000 entries. Sorry, no, I meant to say the scanf function using arrays instead of hash tables, double-checking each already unique item against every other already unique item in the array. And if by this point you're banging your head on the table, congrats, you've passed my course, hand in your final assignments in the Dropbox outside my office. So what did Toast get for their efforts? Well, a drop in wait time from 6 minutes to under 2 minutes. And if you don't think that's a long time, look at it this way. It took me only 1 minute to read this story and over 6 minutes for Graham to read his. No hate.
I feel like Shovel Knight has appeared in way more random games and other crossovers than possibly any actual NES-era protagonists, and yes, even counting Mario. The original game, which as a reminder has an absolutely banging soundtrack. Sorry, this is irrelevant to the story, but dang. Anyway, the game came out 7 years ago, but it feels like Shovel Knight has been everywhere in that time, and now he has the meats. Yes, Arby's is rolling out Shovel Knight toys in their kids' meal, little disc launchers featuring a cadre of characters from the game, including Plague Knight, who has been tastefully renamed Dr. Knight for what I hope are glaringly obvious reasons. The toys apparently will unlock some manner of DLC for the Switch and PC versions of Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, the 2019 re-release of the game with all 3 extra campaigns packed in. Judging by the trailer released by Yacht Club Games, they appear to be weird little flying roast beef sandwich cosmetics, which I suppose isn't as weird as the Troupple King, but it still seems really weird. Nice thing about his armor, you can never tell if Shovel Knight has the meat sweats.
Sony has announced it is making a banana controller. No, not that one. Sorry, the Brotherhood of Satirical Video Game Journalism has rules that obligate us to include that picture every time we make fun of a Sony controller. At least this time it was relevant. Anyway, Sony hasn't actually made a banana controller. No, they've left that up to God and monocultural plant management. Instead, they've patented a process that virtually maps controller input to a banana, or really any sort of random banana-shaped object you can hold in your hands? Oh, come on, Paul. Even got up courage to give you a picture. Are we not going to run it? Fine. Sony also claims this works with oranges, but I've never seen anyone with a wiener shaped like an orange. Sony also says you can use a pair of oranges for virtual controllers if you want. Just big, angry oranges.
Or a careful arrangement of an eggplant and 2 shallots, I imagine.
I also imagine. Want to get some lunch?
Are you coming on to me?
Coming up, EA has confirmed that they are not fixing the outcome of matches in FIFA Ultimate Team. This is part of a larger strategy where EA is also not fixing how they treat their employees. No, not that one. Sony. All right, do that again.
I could make a banana controller if I wanted to. No, Microsoft, you can't. Aww.
All you can make is a big pancake controller.
Which I understand is great.
Mm-hmm. No shade.
So is Sony just saying, like, we just want to patent the idea of putting 2 buttons on whatever object someone has lying around?
I think it might be eventually more than 2 buttons, but yeah, it's literally anything you pick up through a VR sense. So probably using like a VR helmet or some sort of thing that can detect what you're holding in your hands. To just be like, are you holding this mug? Are you holding a banana and an orange? Are you holding your remote control for your TV? Like, it's like, we'll just use anything.
Are you holding the cat?
I mean, people want that, right? Just kind of.
Oh yeah, cat gun,
yeah,
for
exactly.
Sure. So, okay, interesting.
Imagine having to change weapons. You put your one cat down, you pick your other cat up, and my AR-15's run off. You know,
cat up. I mean, I just love. It bears repeating how much I love patent application illustrations.
Oh yes.
I mean, that's where we got that. That's where we got McDonald's, right? Which was a terrible idea, and I'm glad that didn't happen.
Glad I wore pants today.
That was for a for a real thing. The like someone standing up and yelling McDonald's was I think it was Microsoft.
And I keep thinking it's Microsoft. Yeah, and
I'm pretty sure because it was like
yeah.
looped in with the Kinect, and,
Yeah.
it was like we'll play a commercial, and you can either sit there and watch the commercial, or you can dismiss the commercial by interacting with it. And the example was someone standing up with their arms over their head shouting McDonald's.
Yeah, when they see a hamburger,
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, hamburger!" I just yell, I stand up, and because it's like it wasn't that you could just go McDonald's. Like you literally had to like
Yeah, because it was all
McDonald's!
it was using the Kinect and everything. And again, they didn't do anything with this, but people patent weird stuff all the time. But
and most people don't live in houses. A lot of people live in apartments. And imagine if the walls are thin and you just hear a guy downstairs from you just going, McDonald's!
I mean, that was the problem with the Kinect
Dodge Ram!
anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like when this is way back in when CheckPoint was still on Penny Arcade TV. Mm-hmm. We did a bit where Paul went to a field and laid out with pylons like the suggested size for the space that you would need to make the Kinect work.
Right.
And it was like, nobody has a house like this.
No.
Right?
No.
It's like, I'm sure all the execs who are in charge of this project do.
They're like,
But
yeah,
that's
put it in my living room, yeah.
That's why Stadia failed. It's like, everyone's got fiber internet, right? Mm-hmm. That's not the only reason Stadia...
Don't
that
worry,
is
Stadia hasn't failed yet. We haven't done that story yet.
Oh, don't... There are numerous reasons that Stadia is currently failing. I don't want to, pinpoint it just on the internet problem.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Can we narrow it down? No,
Not
yet.
really.
Not yet.
Sometimes it's gradually then suddenly, right?
It'll get there.